There's so much fear and discomfort attached to money. If it's not scary, if it's a love or a blessing thing, and we can shift the energy of it, then we can utilize it to really have more impact, to help other people. And when we're not focused on ourselves, that's when the money comes. What are we doing in the world? What do we want to create? Whether that's helping one person or millions of people, whatever it is, there's always a purpose and impact behind everything that we do. And when we focus on that, we can start to see money as something that just flows like breath. We don't need to hold on to it. We don't need to be afraid of it, but just trusting that it's going to be there when we need it.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Pivot to Profit. Our amazing guest today is Julie Tunador, who is here to talk about money mindset. What's up, girl? So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and dive into talking about money and money mindset.
Indeed. So let me introduce you to Julie is a visionary strategist, international speaker, and master life and business coach, partnering with worldwide organizations. She's based in California, but works globally, has amazing degrees, a candidate for PhD, 25 certifications, very impressive, love it. She specializes in rewiring money mindset and transforming limiting beliefs to unlock sustainable growth with longevity. Through her private consulting, global retreats, events, and cutting-edge hypno-coaching, which I love, she empowers leaders to grow beyond limits, align with their vision, and lead with lasting impact. So fun! I don't have 25 certifications. That's so amazing. So before we dive in, Julie, look, if you're a business owner, founder, CEO, and you're stressed about money, your sales aren't where they want to be, there's not enough money in the bank, you don't know what decisions to make, our team of number gurus would love to help you get your books in order and help you with a financial strategy going forward as fractional CFOs. Just go to pamjordan.com to schedule a call. All right, Julie, are you ready? It's going to be fun.
I am so ready.
All right. So you do crazy impressive things these days, but what I want to know is, what did little Julie want to be when she grew up?
That's such a fun question. I love asking people this because I think it's like that inner child that still lives within us. And I always knew I was always that person that was kind of doing what I do now with my friends. I would listen to everyone's issues and I was a solver, a problem solver. So I remember exploring different avenues of like, how do I help people and how do I solve problems? And I think as a kid, you just think of doctors, right? Doctors help people. So I remember wanting to be a doctor and just wanting to really have an impact in the world and find a way to help people that makes the world a better place.
I love it. So you are actually going to be a doctor, but not a medical doctor. I love it. So as a kid, what was little Julie taught about money from the environment, parents, grandparents, society, religious organizations? What were you told about money?
This is something that I've actually done a lot of work around because I was born and raised in Iowa, here in the US, and it's very Midwestern work ethic. So you work really, really hard for money. And society tells you that over and over again. So that's what I grew up believing is you have to work really, really hard. And it wasn't just for money. I would do that in everything in life. I didn't just go through high school. I graduated a year early with all of these honors AP courses because you had to work really, really hard for everything. And that was so deeply programmed in my system. And you can see how that's an exhausting way to live.
Yes. You graduate early, you go to college. Where did you start off? How did you start as your first paying job? Where was the beginning for you?
Yes, the beginning for me, I ended up taking an unexpected turn. I have a psychology degree, but then I got roped into doing research in undergrad, and I ended up going also down the criminology path and becoming a crime scene investigator. So that was a little bit
fun. I didn't know that.
yeah. So it was a little bit unexpected, and my parents didn't they didn't like the work. They thought it was too dangerous. So I was helping people and making a difference in the world and trying to make society a better place. And I was in forensics for many years, even in Los Angeles, California, which kept me very, very busy. And then I just started seeing and realizing these traditional systems are so broken. The organizations, even the corporate setting, It's people are burnt out, they're unhappy, they're stuck. Even the ones that were succeeding externally, they were suffering internally. And I just didn't want to stay in that hamster wheel of the system anymore. I really wanted to create something that could merge transformation and strategy and have a bigger impact. But I had no idea how to get from being a crime scene investigator to doing something different.
Yeah, that's a crazy journey from point A to point B. So, crime scene investigator, amazing. But now what you do is still helping people, but with their subconscious and mindset and coaching. So, how did you decide that these were the methodologies that make sense for you and that were tools that entrepreneurs and business owners and executives would respond to?
Yes, I think most of us learn through our own exploration. I had to de-systemize my mind after being in the system for such a long time, and I didn't know how to do that. So I tried different things, and that's when I found hypnosis. And I just started looking at the research and seeing that on paper, all the research would show going to therapy, it takes about 600 sessions to have a 34% chance of resolving one issue. So, looking at money mindset, looking at any of these things, and then cognitive behavioral, like 72 sessions to have a 60% chance, and then hypnosis, 6 sessions to have a 93% chance. So I was thinking, okay, I could stick to the work harder and do this for years, or I could try something different. And so I started trying. I found a hypnotherapist and I started working with hypnotherapy, and I saw how well it worked, and I went back and got my degree as a clinical hypnotherapist.
I love it. So when did you start your own business and hang your shingle and say, I am now a business owner and entrepreneur?
Yes, it was that transition from crime scene to clinical hypnotherapist. That was it for me. And I drug my feet for a really long time because I didn't realize how much my identity was really wrapped up in my career. It was that's who I was. That's what I did. And I couldn't imagine. Everything just felt so overwhelming. Starting my own business, how do you do that? The marketing, you're on your own, there's no structure. So it was a rough transition, but it's one that I had to make. And so I started getting into basically the business coaching, the life coaching, and rewiring the subconscious mind, and then seeing how quickly it was working for people just skyrocketed my belief system. And okay, this isn't, this is something that's actually essential that should be in every business. I mean, we look at the business coaching market, I think it's like $13 billion a year. So all of these businesses are hiring business coaches, but they're not working with the subconscious mind. And it doesn't make any sense when you look at the research. You could work harder, you could work longer, or you could just work more effectively.
Yeah. It's a difference of working smarter or working harder. And from your background of I work hard, spend long hours, make a little bit of money, that's a good life. And then you learned, oh, wait, there's a new way to approach this. I love it. So now, when you're working with business owners, what are some common challenges that you see people have when it comes to money mindset? What are some common roadblocks, limiting beliefs, any of that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, what I find is, well, what the research shows, it's not just me, is that the subconscious mind really drives 95% of our behaviors. And this includes financial decisions. This includes our money mindset, if you will, or our belief systems about our worth, our value, our identity, our safety. So money in my world is rarely just about money. It's really getting to the root of what were those beliefs that you grew up with around you in your home? What were your parents' beliefs? Where did you grow up? Culture makes a big difference. Geographical location makes a big difference. And then where is your identity? And is money safe? Or is it not safe? Is it bad? Are you worthy of it? I find even some of the most successful people that I work with, they have incredible amounts of money. They're very successful in business. And they're one of two things. They're either still suffering from a lack mindset or a scarcity mindset. and they're trying to control the money. So this causes problems in their relationships. It causes problems in their life because they're holding on so tightly to it that, maybe they'll give a stipend to their kids or to their wife. And then it causes all this conflict because they're gripping so tightly. They hire someone like you give them the advice and they're not listening because they don't want to make those investments. Or it can go in kind of the other direction where it's their belief system is, it's not as much of scarcity, but it's trying to control and chase money. So it's never enough. It's like, I'll
Yes.
be happy when the next thing, and then the next thing. And then they reach that mark. They don't even stop to enjoy life or celebrate it. But now they need this thing or this thing or this thing. And they're just chasing. So they're never fulfilled. They're never satisfied. And they're not having the impact they want because they're not focusing on the impact. They're just chasing the money. And when people switch to really focusing on their passion, the impact, what they're really wanting to create in the world, and chase that and just trust that the money's there. And I see that that makes a really big difference.
Yeah, I love how you kind of gave both sides of the pendulum where it's, you know, the scarcity mindset and I want to control it because we have clients that are very successful by all accounts, but you would think that they don't have anything, right? And not by the way they show themselves, but how they act because they're so afraid of losing it. They're so afraid of, oh, my I can't spend that money. I can't go on that trip. I can't invest in that thing when it's like, no, like here's the ROI. It's time to take advantage. But then also the other side is it's never enough. And I've seen that a lot too, where this is what I want. And then they get there, but then it's not enough. And then they need another car. They need the other house. They need a younger version of their partner. They need the next thing. And there's never satisfaction. There's never success. There's never freedom because it's always chasing.
Yeah, and they're just living empty lives. And as I think the big thing to highlight is that the money affects everything. It's every single area of life because if you're living on either one of these spectrums or even somewhere in the middle, it's having an impact on your relationships, your health. I mean, our health is wealth to me. And if we're not investing that money on our health because we're gripping onto it too tightly or we're too busy chasing something, then we're not enjoying our relationships. We're not taking care of ourselves. And things in every area, are slipping through the cracks because we're focused only in one area. So I think it's that holistic perspective and really looking at the whole person and knowing we don't have to choose. Money it's magnetic. It's a tool. It allows us to be amplified and magnified and have the impact we want. And it should be looked at in that way of empowering all of the areas of life.
When you work with a new client, how do you help them identify what is blocking them? What in their subconscious, what story were they told as a 5-year-old that's blocking them from being and fulfilling what their potential is?
Yes. I think it's really digging deep because these things live in the subconscious mind. So if it's unconscious to us, how are we going to fix it? Right? And it's like when people come to me and I ask them some of these questions, they're like, if I knew, I wouldn't be here. Like I would just fix it. I would change it. So it takes exploring to the root cause. And sometimes it's just doing this in a subconscious, like in hypnosis or a trance. And there's many other techniques that help us to draw on these things and really bring out, what is it? How did you grow up? What did your mom believe? What did your dad believe? Were there fights in your house about money? Did your parents get divorced and somehow you thought that was about money because there's a lot of, financial conversations in a divorce. And so it's really getting to that root cause, the root belief system, and then seeing how it impacts people. And then once we know, like once we identify it, then we rewire the mind. So we rewrite it in the subconscious mind, and it actually creates a new neural pathway. And neuroscience is amazing. And then the old one, as long as we keep firing on that new neural pathway, the other one just essentially closes. So we can really and truly reprogram the mind around what they're desiring. So it's, identifying the root and then removing it, removing that block. And I think, it's very interesting because a lot of times it comes down to there's not enough. Money's not for me. A lot of people will believe like they like money. They believe in money in it, but it's for everyone else. It's not for me. Or they have their worth and their value and their identity wrapped up in it. And even for people who grew up with a lot of money, the people with the most money, I find, feel that money is not safe. They think it's
Wow.
bad. They think it's not safe. I have many clients that they grew up with a lot of money, but it was withheld. And there was kind of like this power struggle that came with money, or this exhaustion that came with money, or even guilt of like having to ask for the money. So, these are where we have to figure out what is the emotion attached to it. Is it shame? Is it guilt? Is it worth? Is it safety? Is it that money's bad or it makes you a bad person? And then once you get there, it's very easy to just rewire the mind.
Because once you know that they say, oh, money isn't safe, then you help them understand that money is safe. And you rewire that path. And then do you help them tie that to their goals and aspirations?
Absolutely. So, for example, if someone were working with you and you gave them a plan and a strategy, and they knew what they needed to do, right? It's not always easy. Especially if there are hard things or things that are outside of their comfort zone that you're expecting. They'll try. I mean, our conscious mind is really only 5 to 10% of our mind. So if they're trying to push the plan or the strategy forward with that part of their mind, the subconscious is going to keep pulling them back to what is normal, what is comfortable. So when we utilize the subconscious mind and work with it to first remove the blocks and then to show the subconscious the plan, the subconscious mind doesn't know what is real, what is imagined. It doesn't know time. It doesn't know space. It knows what you give it. So if we implement that strategy in their subconscious mind, it doesn't know anything else. And it makes it feel very natural, very normal, very comfortable. And then it just, basically comes from the inside and it externally becomes reality. So it's much easier to move things forward when the subconscious mind has seen it, when it knows the numbers, when it knows the plan, when it knows the strategy. That's now familiar. That's comfortable. And then it's very easy to see that unfold.
Do you find that when you're working with people, you said that you can get through to the blocks pretty quickly, that sometimes there's multiple beliefs and multiple blocks that you've got to work through? So it's not just like money's evil and I don't deserve it, but there's also other money, broke up my parents and money make me whatever, like are there typically multiple layers to this for people?
There are. I mean, there's typically, because the problem is we don't understand what's happening, right? Most of these belief systems come in when we're very young. So the subconscious mind is completely open from ages 0 to 8. So everything we experience in those first 8 years is going directly into our subconscious mind, and we're not aware of it. And then we get into adult life. And maybe because things were a certain way, like if we grew up without a lot of money and we have this scarcity mindset, we try to overcompensate by chasing or controlling, and then it's not working. Now we have all this shame, guilt, embarrassment, frustration, start to have low self-esteem, low confidence, and then money starts to equal exhaustion. And then we lose motivation and passion and drive. And then we just maybe start avoiding it, and we won't even look at our accounts, and we won't talk about money. And, so that's kind of how things compound.
Yeah.
So you fix the root first, and then you address the symptoms.
And then you just help them work layer by layer through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And it doesn't take long. It's very effective and efficient, which I like because that's what I had to overcome. I had to stop working so hard for everything, and it's very fast, very effective, and it's actually very relaxing. It's very rejuvenating way to do things. And it's amazing working with business people in this capacity because most people, I think they hear hypnosis and they either think, oof, you're like, that's scary, that's mind control, or they think, oh, that's so woo woo, but it's really not. It's one of the longest researched modalities. It's been being used for thousands of years in the medical community. It's one of the most researched alternatives in both science, medical, mental health, all of these things. And I don't know why we're not incorporating it in business more. So this is what I'm doing with my PhD and my dissertation is going in, working with all these business leaders and their subconscious minds and just showing the difference, how fast we can move and progress the levels of adult development. And therefore, obviously, our finances come with that, but the impact ultimately as well.
Yeah. So talking about impact, how have you seen people's money mindset limit their personal relationships? Because their business is one thing, but also all of these people are typically also spouses and parents and brothers and sisters. So how is their limiting beliefs about money that they don't even realize they have impacting their relationships?
Yes, I find it's a direct correlation and impact. I mean, when you think about even just in a marriage, right? Both people come in with their own money mindset. and, and I don't think enough people talk about money, right? Like if you're dating someone, wouldn't that be an interesting conversation to just say, well, what are your beliefs about money? How do you manage your money?
Yeah.
Those would be great conversations to have to see have either person ever thought about, talked about, is it aligned? Is it completely opposite? But those conversations don't happen. And then typically these wounds, kind of these money wounds, start showing up in the relationship and they can be damaging, right? The person who's chasing, they're not in their relationships at all. They're neglecting their families and they're focused on that chase. It's all external material. They haven't done the internal work. They want that car, that house, that plane, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It's like, that damages relationships and they tend to not be present in their relationships because even when they're there, they're chasing. And then on the control side, I see this a lot because I work with a lot of people in different cultures. And I see this more in other cultures where many times there's generational money. And when the generational money is there, it's it's a different system, right? Especially in modern times, kids and generations coming don't necessarily want to take over the family business. They want to do something else. They want to do their own thing. So there's a lot of control that comes through these dynamics, and the control can either be, with children over what they will do and won't do, and money and withholding, and with their spouses, the same thing. And I don't think it's never a conscious decision. It's never anything that anyone is doing consciously. I think it's very unconscious programming that is this withholding and the money becomes power because they're powerful in business and they want power at home. So at home the power is the money and they're going to grip onto it and you have to ask them and you have to, it's like comes with expectations or criteria that have to be met to have this money. And then what happens, it's a ripple effect, right? Because now that is the money mindset that their children are growing up with. That money is scary or it's attached to guilt or it comes at a cost and the cost isn't worth it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is how we're reprogramming the next generation. So if we don't heal our money wounds, we're passing these down. And sometimes it's even worse than the ones we grew up with.
So, what are some money truths that we as entrepreneurs should hold on to that are true?
Yes, I think, the truest thing about money is that it's it's a tool
Mm.
to be utilized. It's like when I talk to clients, especially in the US, because our money is green, right? It's like the energy of money being green is very related to the heart chakra, as cheesy as that sounds. So to me, it's if you think of money as love, and there's a man he's a Japanese man named Ken Honda, and he's traveled the whole world interviewing, I think now it's been over 12,000 self-made millionaires and, bringing all of this data. And what he's found is that this is this is one of the biggest issues is that people aren't seeing money as a blessing. as a gift, as a tool that is meant to be utilized. And if people could do that instead of being afraid of it, there's so much fear and discomfort attached to money, no matter what side you're on. And if it's not scary, if it's a love or a blessing thing, and we can shift the energy of it, then we can utilize it to really have more impact, to help other people. And when we're not focused on ourselves, that's when the money comes. That's when the abundance comes, when it really is about what our business is. What are we doing in the world? What do we want to create? Whether that's helping one person or millions of people, whether it's about the people in our business and just wanting to grow and nurture those people and their lifestyles. Whatever it is, there's always a purpose and impact behind everything that we do. And when we focus on that, we can start to see money as something that just flows like breath. It's just there, it's going in and out. We don't need to hold on to it. We don't need to be afraid of it, but just trusting that it's going to be there when we need it. And I think, that is a powerful truth to really hold on to when it comes to money.
Yeah, I love it. Money is a tool, and because it can bring impact. And I see that in our clients, that the ones who are chasing the next, I call it shiny object syndrome, like who are chasing the next shiny thing, it's never enough. They're not satisfied. Their relationships are not satisfying. But the people who are allowing money to be a tool to help themselves and the people around them are living in an abundance, and they are taking the cruises with their families, and they have the organizations that they're contributing to, and they're making an impact in life, and they're not limiting themselves to the next shiny thing, but they're enjoying the journey.
Yes. And I think, that is one of the biggest things that came out of all the research that I was just talking about with all of the thousands of millionaires. The statistics showed that the ones that were actually enjoying their relationships, taking time with their families, giving money back to good causes, giving money freely to their loved ones or anyone in need or certain causes they were invested in, those were the people that kept money and made more money. The people who had the opposite happening, where it was either a chasing or a control, those people typically lost. And many times lost and had to rebuild and lost again and had to rebuild. So it's really essential to look at the other areas of life and how it's impacting that. And if we shift our focus off the control or the chasing into just being present in our own lives, looking at all of the different areas of our lives, more money comes.
Yeah. And then more impact comes.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That's beautiful. So, Julie, what's next for you? You're helping a lot of people. You've got retreats. What's the next thing for you?
Yes, I guess the most exciting thing that I'm doing right now, that is, again, it's more on the impact level. I'm taking everything that I've learned in the last 20 years, all of my education and certifications, and it's now a legacy plan for me of passing this on to others. So I'm creating a certification program that is, the plan is it will infiltrate a lot of businesses, getting to leadership teams, getting to different types of practitioners, changing organizations, and really setting a higher bar. And it's, of course, incorporating the subconscious mind, incorporating a lot of the business coaching that we're seeing. The numbers are there for the success of that. And then incorporating leadership and more of like an integral approach. So that is what's on my horizon and the next thing that I'm rolling out. And I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. When is that going to be coming out?
In September.
Well, awesome. When it does, we can have you back on. You can tell us all about it. Because if the owner of the business is chasing and not in a good, trapped by money, it impacts the rest of their team.
It does. And normally, how I work, I typically end up working with that owner, founder, CEO of the business, and then it expands out from there. And this would be, the idea is instead of doing a lot of the one-on-one work, just being able to bring this 3-pillar program into their leadership team. And then it just trickles down.
Yeah. The ripple effects are huge of that.
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So we've got some rapid response questions to wrap up. So just answer whatever. Don't think about it too much and don't explain. Are you ready?
Yes.
Profit or growth?
Ooh, growth.
What's one business expense you'll never cut no matter what?
Ooh, collaborating.
What's the best money advice you've ever received?
To enjoy it.
Love it. If you had to start over today, what's the first thing that you would do differently with your finances?
Get someone on board right away when I started my own business to get my numbers organized and everything set up properly.
Yes, thank you. What does financial freedom mean to Julie?
It just means living to my fullest each and every day without any other thought.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Julie, thank you so much. This is such a powerful topic. So many people need this. Where can our audience reach out to connect with you?
Yes, just at my name. So all of the social media handles, just Julie Tunador, and then website at julietunador.com.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the episode today and sharing your story and your skill set. This is definitely something that, as a fractional CFO and owner of a business strategy firm, I see people not reaching their potential because of this money mindset. So super excited to be connected with you and be able to point people to your direction. So all of you out there, if you're needing help to understand your numbers, go to pamjordan.com. Julie's put in her information. We'll have it in the show notes so you can connect with her. That's all for today's show of Pivot to Profit. And remember, it's not what you make that matters. It's what you keep. Thank you, Julie.